Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. This is Tech's Q&A. Ask me anything. I recently posted a question on Twitter, link to that down below. What do you want to know? Ask me anything. Please include lots of details and I might include it in a video and or give you an answer. Here is that video, or at least the first of at least two being made out of the various questions, because I've cut out more than a dozen questions to answer, of which I'm going to cover about 9 in this video, because if I did more than that, it would be quite long. This is technically number 27 in this series, because I have previously published 26 tech Q&As, the last one being at the end of January 2019. Yes, it's been 4 years. What can I say? So this is simply going to follow a basic format. I'm going to show you a screenshot of the question on the screen. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts. As always, I would love to hear what you think. Please put your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And without further ado, please grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into this. Buy Windows 10 Professional for $15, activate instantly online with Microsoft, and keep it forever. Don't pay full price. Get the best deal from our sponsor, URCD Keys, using our link in the video description below. Full details on how this amazing deal works at the end of the video. Our first question today comes from Gordon DeWitt. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Gordon asked a question about storage that I think lots of people should be considering. I have to store lots and lots and lots of files that I'm legally required to. I'll be scanning physical documents to an external storage device connected to the printer in his office in order to make room. Do I have a recommendation for external storage devices, SSDs and or hard drives? Great question. First of all, it doesn't really matter what you store scanned documents to. Hard drives or SSDs isn't going to make a big difference, but if you're moving it around the office, I would recommend an SSD. SSDs stand shocks and drops much better than hard drives do. Hard drives should be moved as little as possible. I also strongly encourage you to have a strong backup solution. Backblaze is my preference, but if you have an internal setup in your office, then fair enough. Just make sure that if these are legally required documents, that you're not just putting them on an external hard drive or SSD, putting them on the shelf and assuming everything will be okay. Make sure they're on your computer. Make sure they're backed up to an off-site remote location so they're secure in the unlikely but very unfortunate event something dramatic happens to them. This generally applies to everybody. If you've got files, if you've got something important, make sure that you don't go, well, I put it on an external drive and that external drive is 5 feet away from my computer. Or worse, permanently plugged in, which means malware, ransomware, viruses, an electrical surge, lightning strike, fire theft, etc. can destroy all of your files. I strongly recommend Backblaze. I've been a paid customer for 11 years, and it is a wonderful service. Link in the video description below. Question number 2 comes from Mark Philip Rennie? I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Mark hails from the United Kingdom, and you'll know why in the next question. He asks the pressing issue of our time. I always ask Rogue Storm, that's my lovely wife, this one. My parents never told me, where do babies come from? Okay, that's not really tech related, but you know, Mark has been a very long time follower and a long time supporter of the channel, and so he legitimately did tweet this question at me, so I will answer it. Mark, the simple answer to the question is, babies come from the baby store. Here in the United States, we have a store called Bye Bye Baby. Why do you think they named it Bye Bye Baby? It's so that you can buy a baby. I'm sure that's how it works. Our third question also comes from Mark, and this time he has a real question. I have two 1080p screens, a Ryzen 7 5800X CPU, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM, two 512 gigabyte SSDs, a single 1.5 terabyte hard drive, a GTX 1070, and he wants to know what his next upgrade is. He mostly plays World of Warships, Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, but he's looking at getting into playing more modern games, such as Battlefield and other AAA games. He has 300 to 600 pounds available to spend over the next year, with 150 to spend right now. Where should he put his money? This is an excellent question, and I'm willing to bet a ton of viewers have this sort of question. First, Ryzen 7 5800X, 2 gold stars, awesome CPU, don't touch that. If the word budget, if limited funds are available, that is going to last you for many years to come. Even with 2 monitors, it's great. The 16 gigabytes of RAM, Mark, let's take a walk. 16 gigabytes of DDR4 3200, and I'm going to use freedom dollars here because I'm in the United States and I don't know what anything costs in the United Kingdom, so you'll have to translate. But in the United States, you can buy 16 gigabytes of RAM for $35. There is no reason whatsoever in 2023 to not spend $35. Drop it in next to the existing 16 gigs. Boom, you have 32. You have 2 monitors. You're multitasking. You're doing multiple things at once. You absolutely positively for $35 should have 32 gigabytes of RAM. SSDs. You can currently, as of this recording, buy a 2 terabyte NVMe TLC SLC cached SSD on Newegg, a Team Group MP33 for $79. That is well within your budget. You could absolutely positively get an awesome drive to replace or supplement those existing drives. The graphics card you can use for the rest of the year. It sounds like your money's going to be coming out through the rest of the year. Your graphics card, I would upgrade later in the year. Maybe look at the RTX 4060 coming out later in the year. Maybe look at one of the lower end AMD cards if you want to try Team Red. But your GTX 1070 at 1080p is still fine. New AAA games, Battlefield, etc. You're going to have to turn the details down a bit. But the 1070 is the last thing I'd replace in that bunch. But probably later in 2023, I would take a look at that. Our 4th question today comes from Andy Quinn. And Andy wants to know, any chance of the Rogue and Tech live shows coming back anytime soon along with Bite Size Tech? The live streams were an entertaining few hours. Well, that's an interesting question. Probably not, but never say never. At least when it comes to the live streams, if they did come back, they would probably not come back on the main channel. I know there's many of you who are big fans of those shows, but there were many of you who were not. For every person who said, oh, you stopped streaming, why don't you bring the streams back? We miss the streams, we love the streams. And there are hundreds of you who have left comments. I have seen them over the past year since we stopped streaming. There were equally as many comments from people saying, thanks for stopping the live streams. I kind of didn't watch your channel anymore. Now that you're making scripted videos, I'll watch your channel again. So it's really one or the other, but both types of content don't really seem to work. So the Rogue Tech Show probably is not coming back, but never say never. As far as the Bite Size Tech goes, longer versions of the answers to these questions actually are going to be published over on the Bite Size Tech, as well as in a long form video here for members on the main channel if you want to watch the entire thing early. But those will be published over the coming weeks, maybe a month over on Bite Size Tech. I don't know if we will keep up with Bite Size Tech beyond these Q&As or if we'll do anything extra for it. That remains to be seen. So I do appreciate you being a fan. I do appreciate the feedback. Stay tuned. Our 5th question comes from Paul, who has a 4070 question. Paul wants to know, with the rumors for the 4070 specs, given the leaks that have come out about that, is that worth getting for 1440p Ultra, or should he instead buy a RX 6800 XT from AMD? Well, the current rumors, this is not confirmed as of the filming of this video, is that the RTX 4070 will be $599, at least for the base model. It'll have 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and it will be very similar in performance to the 12 gigabyte version of the RTX 3080. That's not bad for $599. Not amazing, but not bad. That also means that it will be roughly equal in performance to the RX 6800 XT, which has 16 gigabytes of VRAM and can currently also be bought for about $600. My opinion, buy the 4070 over the 6800 XT. The 6800 XT is about 2.5 years old at this point. The 4070 comes with newer technology, DLSS 3, better ray tracing. It's going to have more support in front of it. It's got a few newer technologies in it. Now, the RX 6800 XT is great. And if you already own one, keep it. It's a great card. It's got several years in front of it. However, I would like to introduce all of you to a different concept. And this is not the question that was asked, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you want to play AAA games at 1440p Ultra for the next 2+ years, your new best friend is an RTX 4090. It is worth the money. I know it's not the question that was asked. I know it's $1,600, and I know many of you are going to say, dude, Tech, come on. I'm not spending $1,600 on a video card. That's ridiculous. That's okay. That's okay. However, For everybody expecting an RTX 4070 or a 6800 XT to play AAA games for the next 2 years at ultra detail, keep in mind, ultra detail, future games at 1440p, you're going to be disappointed. Let me put this a different way. The RTX 3080 came out in 2020. 2 years from now is 2025. Is it reasonable to expect a 80 series card from NVIDIA 5 years later to be able to play the newest, latest, best AAA games, think Assassin's Creed, Cyberpunk, etc., at 1440p Ultra at a reasonable frame rate with no issues? I don't think that's reasonable. So if that's your goal, I think you need to step up to the top, as expensive as it is. Or you have to be willing to compromise that Ultra and maybe bring it down to high detail as the card ages. Our next question comes from Cajun Cowboy. That could either be Texas or Louisiana, hard to tell. Maybe Louisiana, some of that good old Cajun food. Regardless, Cajun Cowboy has a question about AM4. If somebody isn't already on AM4, is there a use case for a new build based on something like the Ryzen 7 5700X or the Ryzen 9 5900X or 5950X? He just did exactly this for a budget esports gaming build for his son, a Ryzen 7 5700X, and he is wondering if he missed the mark and should have gone with Raptor Lake or Zen 4. Cajun, you did a great job. You used the magic words, budget esports gaming computer. That is absolutely what a Ryzen 7 5700X is for. It is a great value for the money. As I'm recording this video, that is a $180 CPU brand new. It installs on reasonably priced motherboards. In fact, you can find B550 motherboards for about $100. The i5 13600K is faster, it is better in all respects, but it's a $300 CPU that goes on a $150 to $200 motherboard, and everything about it costs more. So if the word budget is in the equation, I still think AM4 is good for a number of years to come, and I think the Ryzen 7 5700X is the sweet spot. The Ryzen 9s, if you don't already have one, if you're spending Ryzen 9 money, go ahead and get Raptor Lake, go ahead and get Zen 4, step up to the best. But the 5700X is a steal of a deal. One more thing about AM4. While I don't think the Ryzen 9 5900X makes sense at the current $300 price point over the 5700X, if you already own a Ryzen 5 5600X and you're finding 6 cores to be limiting, maybe you have 2 monitors, and you want to step up but not replace your entire machine, then the Ryzen 9 5900X makes sense to preserve your existing platform. The move from the 5600X to the 5700X is a tiny baby upgrade, not worth the trouble. But the move from the 5600X to the 5900X goes from 6 cores to 12 cores. They're the same speed, same IPC, same everything, but you do double your cores. And if you're trying to buy a couple years of life and you're finding the 6 cores limiting for new AAA games, that becomes a reasonable upgrade. But if you're building an all-new system, that's when I would either do a 5700X or go to Raptor Lake. Our next question comes from Lewis, who asks about the new Framework laptop. I actually just watched Linus Tech Tips video on the Framework laptop literally the day before Lewis asked this question, so I was well poised to answer it. Lewis says, last week, Framework introduced a new laptop with a great party trick, a detachable GPU expansion module. They are pulling this off thanks to an expansion bay that can pretty much be used for a wide variety of applications. Is this the future, and will people prefer this to a PC? Short answer, no. Longer answer, absolutely not. It's been tried before. It is really cool.
And you, young Skywalker, we will watch your career with great interest.
The geek/nerd in me thinks this is majorly awesome. I watched Linus's video, he showed all the parts, the keyboard's adjustable, the trackpad's adjustable. You could literally move the trackpad on this laptop left, right, or center. You can have it be 10 keyless or have the 10 key number pad on it. You can add a GPU, remove the GPU, change the ports, add different types of ports. The whole side of the laptop is customizable. Extremely cool until you look at the price. The problem is expandable, adjustable laptops have been done before. This used to be how laptops were. This laptop in front of me is a really nice top-of-the-line i9-12900H Asus Scar 17. Absolutely beautiful machine. It does have expandable RAM. It does have expandable SSDs if you tear the thing in half. I had to undo like 11 screws on the bottom and pry it open with an iFixit tool and undo all of the snaps in order to get to it. Even though it has a second unused M.2 slot, there's no access port. They don't even put access ports on these things. They used to. They've taken them away. The market has moved. The portable laptop device market is you use it for a few years and then you get rid of it and you buy another one. Manufacturers do not have an incentive to have you keep your laptop. They want you to have to replace it. Yes, they suck. Fun quiz. What is the number one most popular brand of laptop in the world? Is it Dell? No. Is it Asus? No. Acer? HP? Lenovo? Apple. Fans of Louis Rossmann will know exactly what I'm talking about. Apple has gone out of their way to make their devices non-repairable and non-upgradable, and yet they sell about a bajillion of them. Now, many of our fans, our viewers of the channel do not, but that's where the market has gone. And as cool as Framework is, and as awesome as it is, and as glad that it exists that I am, I don't think this is going anywhere. It's too expensive. The parts are too expensive. And once they burn through their initial venture capital funds, I don't think there's going to be enough customer money to develop generation 2 of the product and make it viable. It's sad, but I think that's the way it is. Our next question comes from Clint, and Clint asks, should I focus on food storage or buying precious metals or something else, given what's happening with the dollar as a world currency? Full disclosure, I am not a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. With that out of the way, food storage sounds like a lovely idea if you live on a 10-acre farm 20 miles from your nearest neighbor and you are self-reliant and independent. If you live in the suburbs like I do, or urban areas in a city, a year of food does you exactly no good, because if the proverbial poo hits the fan, all of your neighbors will not have food. Yours won't last because you won't be able to protect it. Now, that might or might not be what you were asking, but my opinion is that the idea of prepping misses the point. The only way communities survive is through collective effort. Nobody is an island in and of themselves. So unless you get all of your neighbors in on the system together and you collectively look out for each other, if society collapses, a garage full of food on a pallet is going to do you less good than you think. Now let's move on to the precious metals. Precious metals are a hedge against inflation. They are a store of value, but they are not an investment and they are not currency. They have not been currency for a very, very long time, certainly not within any of our lifetimes. They are not going to become currency. If the US dollar falters, it's still going to exist. If the United States of America as a whole fails, a couple of gold bars, some silver coins, and some gold coins aren't going to help you because, again, we live in two dense cities. Unless you're 20 miles from the nearest neighbor, on a compound, surrounded by barbed wire, independent, growing your own food. If you're that person, good for you. But for the rest of us, it's not going to be pretty. And having a few gold coins isn't going to help you because nobody else needs those. People will barter for supplies, and the only people who, in my personal opinion, who will survive such a collapse of the country will be people who are good at working with their neighbors. And essentially, you take neighborhoods, and the neighbors all have to band together and sort of form a local mini community, sharing supplies, sharing protection, and kind of looking out for each other. The idea of, I've got a safe full of gold bars, so I'm going to survive the apocalypse. Man, I can't say that. The end of the world.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
The sky is falling!
Are you crazy?
Well, I can't say that to save my life. Regardless, real estate is probably a better investment in terms of inflation hedge and the fall of the US dollar. The more they print currency, the more real estate's going to go up because there's a limited supply of real estate. They can't, believe it or not, the US government cannot print new real estate. They can print a lot of things, but they can't print new real estate. And if you're really worried about the government going down, then I wouldn't put my money in crypto either. Real estate, yeah, but there's people who sell pallets of food to put in your garage in case society collapses. Your house will be the first one everybody comes to eat. Your year of food will last 2 weeks for your neighborhood. Our next question comes from The Turk. What are my thoughts on cloud streaming/gaming? Will it take over entry-level gaming? In some regards, it already has. There have been a variety of streaming services. You've got PlayStation Now, which got folded into PlayStation Plus. You've got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which has game streaming built into it. And there are a variety of other services that have tried that, some of which still exist, some of which do not. That's not going away, but I don't think it's going to replace what you're probably thinking of as entry-level gaming. The true entry-level gaming device is a game console, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, or, whatever used to exist in the past, Sony Dreamcast and all that stuff, but those are long gone. I'm showing my age. I won't mention the Atari Jaguar because that'll really date me. In any case, cloud streaming and gaming is going to exist as a niche part of the business for people who want to travel with their non-gaming device. Maybe you've got a nice gaming PC at home, but you travel with not a fancy big laptop. You want to travel with something smaller and lighter. Fine. You'll be able to play many games on the go, maybe on your phone, maybe on an iPad or tablet or some other type of device. But the truth of the matter is, you can play games locally on amazingly inexpensive hardware. Look at what the Steam Deck is able to accomplish. The performance you can get out of a small handheld device means that for most people, a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck is going to actually cover their local gaming needs, and those devices are only going to get cheaper. Given that this is primarily a PC channel, some of you are going to say, but I don't care about consoles. I want to know about budget PC gaming. Small, cheap, basic, old, used computers. Are those going to get replaced by cloud streaming or cloud gaming? Let me offer you this thought. It didn't happen at launch, but Cyberpunk 2077 is today, thanks to all the patches, FSR, and the other add-ons that have been made to the game, is now playable on an i7 4790K, which launched in 2014. That is 9 years ago. You can put a sub $100 RX 580 in there, and you can play at 1080p, high detail at 60 frames per second. It's not super smooth. There is some choppiness. The frame time graph's not great, but it is totally playable. That type of hardware costs very little today. Faster is better. Nicer hardware will give you a better experience. But the basic entry level of gaming is now so inexpensive that if you just have a couple $100, you can put together a computer that will play a wide variety of games, even Cyberpunk, at least at some reasonable level of detail. If you've got $500 to spend, which is the cost of the game consoles, you can do a Ryzen 7 5700X, 32 gigs of RAM, a 2 terabyte boot drive, an RX 6600 8 gigabyte graphics card, a $50 case, a $75 power supply, and you've got yourself a ballin' gaming PC for 1080p and even 1440p in some cases. So I guess the question depends, what's your idea of entry level? Looking for a Windows 10 or 11 product key, but you don't want to spend $100 to $200 for it? Our sponsor, URCD Keys, provides discounted Windows keys at amazing prices. $15 for Windows 10 Professional, $21 for Windows 11 Professional, and just $60 for Microsoft Office 2021 Professional Plus. These product keys are the real deal. They activate directly with Microsoft Online, link to your Microsoft account, and they work forever. For Windows, you simply go to Settings, Update and Security, Activation, click Change Product Key, paste the key provided by URCD Keys, and in seconds, you're activated with Microsoft. For Office, go to setup.office.com, sign in with your Microsoft account, paste the product key provided by URCD Keys, and then download Office 2021 Pro Plus directly from Microsoft. Remember to use the discount code TD20 to save 25% off the already deeply discounted prices and support our channel at the same time. We have been using product keys from URCD Keys for almost 5 years now without any issues and encourage you to do so as well. Thank you all for watching Aztec number 27, the first one in over 4 years. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my answers? Do you disagree? Do you have something you want to add? Maybe something from your own personal experience? Do you have a question for a future video? I would love to know what you think. You will find various links down in the video description below to various things, including to Backblaze, which I mentioned earlier in this video. That is an affiliate link. In fact, most of them are. I'm not sponsored by Backblaze, but I have been a paying customer for over 11 years. I highly, highly recommend it. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all of the things. If you want to support our work directly, you can do so on Patreon, link down below, or hit the join button here on YouTube for early access to videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see all of you next time.